Today marks the 2-year anniversary of my 2244.533 in NSMB. It's the worst world record that has ever been set in this game, but that doesn't necessarily mean it wasn't impactful on the game's future. And I just want to discuss it a bit. Just watch through it and discuss the many differences compared to modern day, and to simply just rant about it. So this was a world record from September 6th, 2019 to April 20th, 2020, which might seem like a long time, but honestly we expected it to last a bit longer because no one at the time was willing to do Fast Day 2 aside from me. But then Noodles came along, and thankfully he did. So otherwise I'm sure this would stay for a lot longer than it did, because no one else was willing to do Fast Day 2. So yeah. I did do RNG manip. This starts after I set the time already. I don't have an offset here because I didn't use an offset at this time. What I would do is I would start the game as soon as I see this change to this position, which is what my little walrus did. And I just copied him because it was just easier. And this is the first world record with Fast Day 2, and my second PB in 90% with capture card, and the third world record with QSG. The other two being my 2249 and Pidgey's 2250. Does my RNG minute has stayed the same throughout. I recognize this pattern already. This is a 6 double jump, and I haven't even watched. I don't remember basically anything about the run except for like the bad parts. But I will do 6 double jumps in this level. In 1-1. You can kind of see how my movement has changed over time, as there's a lot of things that I'm just not doing, such as doing the ledge, or the crouches on the edge, just for swag, so you can do a triple jump on the edge. But I mean, for the most part, you can still kind of see how it's still my movement. And also as well, the video quality isn't the greatest because at the time my computer wasn't powerful enough to render like the really sharp image that you see now. So as you can see here, we do QSG on this block, which is what we've been doing for a while now. I did that really late. I didn't even realize how late that was. I think that was probably the latest you could crouch. Otherwise you just wouldn't crouch at all. You see me turn back there a little bit, because I wasn't very confident at this time. So I was trying to make sure that I still get into the pipe. Nowadays, you usually see runners not turn around at all, because the confidence has grown over time. Now that more is known, and more efficient practice is done. From memory, this one tower was good for the time. Here's something that differs from modern day, is this door. Nowadays you jump really high at the start so that you can get to like the middle of the door, so you don't have to Not only do you have to not go all the way to this side, but you also don't have to wait for Luigi to go to the middle. But that wasn't necessarily done at this time. And this is different to what I do now. My old strat for QSG here was to do like a little mini turn back to slow down and then do QSG. I don't do that anymore because I don't know. I realized that you can just let go of run, and that makes it a lot easier, because before I was trying to let go of the D-pad instead, and that just kind of just made it awkward. So I decided to switch. And I do this bonk here. It loses frames, technically, but it makes it easier to line myself up to break these two blocks. And this is what I've been doing for, well, years, you know, since, you know, this is 2 years old. And also I did it a lot before that as well. If I remember correctly, I did that in my first 23 as well, because it just made it easier for me. But yeah, 464, pretty good. This RNG wasn't good though. And the fact that this wasn't a 337 is kind of annoying, because arguably it is a lot better than what my gold was. Even if, you know, lost time to cannons, it still overall was better. But RNG kind of killed it a bit, which is good. You don't want to save time, you want to get the worst run possible, which is exactly what this is. That's what the goal was. Get a visually unimpressive run, and then deem it as the category killer. That was the goal. I'd say I accomplished it pretty well. My movement here is a bit different nowadays, but I do an extra unmorph. Or not an extra unmorph, I replace an unmorph with a different unmorph. And it makes it consistent-er, because you can adjust easier. This is another movement thing that I changed. So back then, since QSG was still pretty new, or relatively new I guess, I think it was maybe a few months old at this point, but nowadays what I do, and what basically everyone else does, is when you go down, you move, like go overrun a bit, and then start moving again. But here I was using the Yipley strategy where you walk until you line up with this brick, and then you start moving, which is slower by, I don't know how much, but if I were to guess, it'd be like maybe 0.2 or 3, somewhere around there. And right here, I wanted to land on this block so I could just jump off it, but instead I don't jump and I bonk a bit, which you know, obviously lost time, probably like 0.1. So on top of losing like 0.2 or 3 to the optimal strategy, I'm also losing 0.1 because I'm an idiot. Actually, I don't know how much that actually lost, but it was enough to make me mad, which is why I don't have the audio on, because the run commentary kind of sucked, and I don't want to talk about it. Here's hyperspeed, because hyperspeed was done, believe it or not, because Andre is a Chad. Although this is a slower method of it. Nowadays what we do is we try to land up here and then do another jump to keep hyperspeed as much as possible. But instead I went for the easier strat, which is to go down here and then do a little trolling. And also nowadays, if I were to do that, I would have done QSG as well. Oh, that was another thing that I don't do anymore. What I used to do was try to get a boost on this block, but it just kind of got annoying, so stopped going for it. My unmorphs here are also slow. I do those a lot better now. I would unmorph after hitting this, and then unmorph. Instead, I just do kind of slow unmorphs, which made my 5-3 not the best ever, but you just gotta remember the time period. Late 2019 NSMB. It's still far from optimized, although I still decided to do Fast D2 anyway because it was getting close. This is also a strat I don't do anymore because it's actually slower. J-Dude does it though. This J-Dude is an idiot. But nowadays when you get up here, you go into shell up here and then bonk off there and then hit him. And that's pretty fast. Right there, you could see how the block is already broken, and I'm still like way over here. So I'm wasting all that time to get up there again to hit him, even though I don't need to. This is also another mistake that happens. I remember this. I got out of shell pretty late, so I didn't make it into the door cleanly, and also, yeah. Need I say more? This part's boring. Auto-scroller, who cares? I lost about an in-game second compared to what was expected from then. Technically, I lost like 2.5 in-game seconds if you get fireworks skip, but that was hardly expected of anyone back then. Another 297. Let's go, dude. So good. What a good run. What a good run. Still a 416 though, because RNG carried. Yo. My goal here at the time was 3 minutes flat, because before, oh my god, okay, wait, let me explain this. Okay, so before this run, I had another run with second try Fast D2, but I messed up 8 tower a bit, and I was like, this run is garbage, so I don't care if I lose it. And I lost it. I was like, whatever. Okay, anyway, so this is different as well. I went down here, which gives consistent crows, but I'm staying in shell, so I'm not unmorphing as much as I do now. Usually, now I unmorph like here, up here, and then I unmorph on those, and then I unmorph off this block to get on to the crows. But instead I did it like that, which is slower by frames. It's really easy though, so if you're starting out with 8-1 and you don't want to be bad, then I recommend doing that. Don't do 8-1 QSG either, because 8-1 QSG is unoptimal, and you're essentially giving yourself more effort to do something that's slower, so there's just no point. So this is where it 2 happens. That's when I'm like, oh, okay, oh, this is important now. Because remember, my PB lost like, I think it was like 3 IGT alone in 8-2, because I bonked at the start, and so I can easily, so now with this I'm saving a lot more time. I also brushed a lot, so if you brush against a wall instead of just going around it, you lose frames. You're not accelerating. You're accelerating later rather than sooner. So you can see I brush on this as well, because I just didn't take those frames into account. And I didn't do that until Noodles brought it up one day. So thanks to him, I now save frames. I took that really safe. I was trying to not get hit by that. And I also don't do the skeeter thing. What IGT is this gonna get? 54 probably. Like a low 54. Garbage. Garbage, to be honest. You can skip fireworks with second try. It's kind of difficult, but it's essentially the equivalent of a 258 with first try. So it's not that bad, but it's still kind of hard. This is also where a new strategy was found that I didn't do here, which is jump off the dry bounds and then you reach the cycles earlier, because the cycles aren't on a global cycle. I think they start once you load them. There's like a lot of movement that just like kind of differs from what I do now. It's kind of interesting to see. I'm not really playing it out, but it's just kind of useless. But if you compare this run to like some of my recent ones, you can just see like the difference, which is pretty cool. Shows the growth, I guess. Sub 3 8 tower split. Poggers, dude. 3x sob. No way. 8-3. I remember bonking a bit near the middle of it. Yeah, right here I bonk a bit. It's not that bad of a bonk though. Yoda's had a worse bonk in his PB. This is boring, just going right, who cares? We also did Fire Route at this time. I mean, it wasn't until recently that Shell Route made a resurgence, but yeah. I just like bent my thumb backwards and I didn't mean to do that. That was scary. This run is so bad, man. Like, oh my god. Next mistake is coming up soon. This gives me like war flashbacks, because this run is god awful. It won't escape my mind. Yeah, that was 8-4. Pretty interesting level, I must say. Here's where... Yep, brush. I don't realize it until like that like happens. So I'm like, oh my god, man. Can I even skip fireworks? 'Cause that's what I was thinking, because I know I've done that before in a PB. It was my 2256. And in that run, I didn't skip fireworks, so I was concerned that I wouldn't. But I wanted to go for it anyway, because if I didn't skip, then like, I'm just not good at the game. This whole run is like a roller coaster. Because it's like you get Fast 8-2, and then it's like, oh my god, dude, this run is insane. And then you just do a dumb mistake, and it's like, you just get worried, and then bad things happen. I'm just gonna skip this because no one cares. Equip fire. Yep, I lost a second and a half in the easiest segment of the game. It's pretty cool, man. I say that, and then I lose like 50% of my runs to 8 castle. Because I cannot escape this barrier. Different movement there. I do a full jump off that Koopa now, instead of landing on that platform. It's nothing that's like really game changing, but I just do different movement nowadays. Because I don't know. I don't know. Here's the next big mistake. Do a wall kick there as well. Dude, I like barely miss the platform, which is why this was so annoying. Like, look at that, I'm like a pixel off of it. I should have landed on it. The game said no, so that was cool. And that was the reason as to why I did the Koopa bounce. If I didn't do that, I probably wouldn't have done it. Because it just really wasn't worth it at the time. I also brushed again there, losing nonsensical frames. So skipped fireworks, which at the time that was like a good thing, but nowadays fireworks skip is nothing impressive at all. It's because of that new route that you do at the end there. The old route that we used to do back in like early to mid 2019. Even before that as well. That route was just god awful. These J fire hops, modified version of it, I guess. Because he did it a bit differently, but I just didn't like that. And I just called it J hops, even though it's not. It's like a modified version of it that makes it so like if you fail, you legit cannot die unless you are really bad. 360. Oh, dude, I suck. This run is garbage. I didn't even know I got a 360. Just assumed that I got a 61. RNG carried. Really did though. The red block and hammer bro just staying back here, which is ideal. So RNG is kind of carrying me there, not gonna lie. This 8-8 was so scuffed. I remember this 8-8. This 8-8 was so weird. So like, that meteor was there, and I like had to delay a bit. Although, okay, I'm such an idiot though. Actually, no, that meteor would have been in the way. Never mind. So yeah, I had to wait a bit, and then this meteor came, and it like made a hole in the floor, which was that was pretty funny. It doesn't matter though, since you can, you know, run across one tile gaps, as everyone should know. But it's just kind of funny. Okay, this is boring. No one cares. Death Warp. Actually, how do I take Death Warp? Oh, I don't chicken out. Let's go. Triple jump storage wasn't known about at this time, so I don't do it here. That wasn't found until like I don't even know when. Well, not found, but like rediscovered. I think it was already known about, but just RT runners didn't really know about it. At this point, I'm chumming. I'm like, oh my god, dude, let's go. You can see this, like all these golds compared to what is expected now is kind of crazy. Like all these segments compared to now are just like mediocre. It's just weird to think about. And I clutched the run, as they say. Although, I don't do the hard strat, and I don't in my current PB either, because I was stubborn at the time, but I do that, and I land on that dry bones, turn back, and then keep going, which loses, like, probably over a second, honestly. Yeah, probably over a second, because then you can't do the wall kick here either. And you can't do this wall kick. I don't even know if that wall kick saves time. I think it does though. I just see everyone else do it and I just kind of mimic that, but I genuinely do not know if that actually saves any time. This Bowser's was bad, by the way. I thought I was gonna get too far there and get like stuck on the blocks, but I didn't. Cause I'm too good. I lost about 3 IGT to like a super optimal from what we know about now. Just kind of cringe. But again, you just gotta remember the time period, I guess. Like at the time, this was a pretty big achievement, since Fast Day 2 was considered not viable for runs, really. Except the Vibe would always talk about how he was consistent with it, but no one else really was. And Wah didn't want to do it for whatever reason, so I did it instead. It was like a low mid 705, which is pretty bad. Not gonna lie, but again, the time period is what's important. That's how you can really get an understanding for a lot of these decisions and strategies. It really defines the era in which this was gotten. And it's funny because we're essentially experiencing the same thing all over again with Q-Warp, since current world record is pretty bad, and so is this run. And funnily enough, they are both world records with the first space jump, first newly implemented space jump, I should say. I think that's the most optimistic way of looking at either run, especially this one. This one is not good, but yeah, it just really defined how the game was far from optimized. Even today, it's far from optimized. So from here, we're just gonna optimize it further, probably. Anyways, yep. Happy 2-year anniversary to the first world record with Fast Day 2 in it. The worst run ever. Genuinely, I genuinely do not like this run. This run is terrible. There's just so much dumb stuff in it. Even if I was trying to be like optimistic there and be like, yeah, it's just to find the area, you know, not the best run, but that's just what we were used to. No, this run is, even back then, this run was terrible, and I knew it was terrible too. But yeah, this run sucks. Oh, nice buffering, thanks YouTube. The quality just dropped, yep. Thanks bro, God bless, big preach, as they say. But yeah, that's the run. Thanks for watching.